And many Muslims today in the world, they celebrate the Mawlid of the Prophet ﷺ and the birthday of the Prophet ﷺ in many different ways and forms. But there is one common factor between all those who believe in celebrating the birthday of the Prophet ﷺ, which is that the 12th of al-Awwal is a special day where the Prophet ﷺ was born, and we celebrating it and we being thankful and grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for it. Then they will practice certain rituals and certain act of worship, and commonly things has to do with the remembrance of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Different type of adhkar, awrad, songs, and reading chapters from seerah or the whole entire seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and things of that nature. This being said, I would like to have a comment on this celebration and how we look at it from the Sharia perspective. And I'm sure you're very familiar that there is, it's a controversial, as people say, or an issue of debate, and people say haram, people halal, and we kind of hear this a lot and happen every year. What's the point? Today is the 13th. My point is not really to stop you or judge you if you did this or did not, as much as my point is to educate us about this subject, because this subject, there is other areas or other issues related to it, certain principles. For me, they are more important to be known, to be clear, than the issue itself. Number one, we have to understand that the word Eid, kalimat Eid, it is defined in Sharia as a time or a place where people will come back to it on a regular basis for ritual reason, for seeking blessings and nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-Eid fi al-Shar' هو الذي يعاد إليه، ولذلك سمي عيدا، يعاد إليه إما مكانيا وإما زمانيا. A place like what? Like Mecca. Every year in Hajj you go to Arafah. So Arafah is Eid, the day of Eid. Or it's a time like Eid al-Adha, Eid al-Fitr. It's every year the same time we basically have certain rituals. And what's the ritual in Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha? Nothing but adhkar wa du'a wa salah. You see, so it's a certain ritual that, or at Hajj if it's Hajj, or it's fasting in Ramadan and so forth, or Friday where we gather together and celebrate Friday. That's why al-Jumu'ah أيضا Eid, هو عيدنا في الأسبوع. So that's what it is, Eid means. And al-ulama rahimahumullah recognize that the Prophet ﷺ said, لا عيدان إلا في الإسلام. There is only two Eids في Islam. This hadith, there is two understanding for it. Both groups, كل العلماء باتفاقهم جميعا, all of them agree that this hadith, لا عيدان إلا في الإسلام, is definitely including any type of Eid that it has a religious sense, or there is a ritual associated with it. All the scholars across the board, they said you cannot assign or appoint a day where you appoint in that day certain rituals, certain ibadat, certain things that you do, and you come back to that spot, to that place, or to that time on a regular basis, and you legislate that and you regulated that for yourself or for that public, which became even problematic. Some ulama even included the things that is not related to ritual. That's why you hear some even scholars, I don't agree with the other opinion, that it will include any day that you honor and you have a special place for that day. That's why there is some scholars from that day, from that hadith, they said you cannot have celebrating birthdays or anniversary or anything like that. That's an opinion. It exists, I respect, I don't agree with. I believe that this hadith is mainly about the Eid which has a religious sense. المرتبط بالعبادة والطاعة وليس بالعادات والأعراف والتقاليد. But anyway, both groups agree that you cannot have a day where you associated with the religious meaning and it became a sad day that you come back to it every year. And that's exactly what we're doing. That's why when the ulama said the celebrating of the Mawlid is a form of adding one more Eid to Islam. That's why the Sunni scholars, we don't have in the Sunni, Ahl Sunnah al Jama'ah room, we don't have celebration like, Mawlid al-Hussein, Mawlid Madri al-Hasan, al-Isra wal-Mi'raj, all these things, the ulama rahimahumullah, and you will not find trace for these kind of celebrations in the early hundreds of years, 300-400 years in Islam. Nobody knows anything like that. This is a very new concept introduced to the religion of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it's all because of that hadith, because of that concept that is so clear in the mind of the scholars. Number 2. an-Nabi sallallahu told us that we will follow the footsteps of the nations before us. They said, Ya Rasulullah, Ahlul Kitab, the people of the book, the Jews and Christians. He said, yes. And it's, what is so interesting about this celebrating of the Mawlid, it is actually literally following the footsteps of those who celebrate the birthday of Jesus in a very interesting way. That when the people celebrate, so one aspect that you celebrate the birthday of Muhammad, there is started by celebrating the birthday of Jesus. But not only that, there is even another problem, deeper problem, that those who celebrate the birthday of Jesus, all of them, every single Christian scholar, every one of them knows the following fact, that December is not 100% the day of the birth of Jesus alayhi salam. They know that this is something, there is a very solid evidence to prove that he was born in December or born in the day of the Christmas that we celebrate today. All Christian, regardless what denomination you're talking about. Some of them said, yes, we recognize there is a debate, maybe I choose, but all of them understand that this is not a fact, clear cut, very clear. All of them understand that there is a debate about that. And for us as Muslims and many others, anyone who have dig deeper a little bit will recognize easily that the 24th of December, it's a very far-fetched to be the truth as the day or the month that Jesus was born. We know, for example, in Qur'an that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that when Maryam was in the delivery, Allah told her to shake the palm tree so the dates fall. And anybody knows anything about dates will know dates will never be on the tree in December in the winter. It only stay there in the summer season. It's not in the winter season. Anyway, so what's interesting, that Muslim not only copied them in the issue of celebrating the birthday of their Prophet, but also they copied them in the same problem, that an-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, actually all the scholars recognize the fact that there is no any solid evidence that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam was born sallallahu alayhi wasallam in this month. Okay? Basically nobody knows when the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam exactly born. This is something is not established. Al-ulama rahimahumullah ta'ala have debated among themselves a lot when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born. Some of them said, an-Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born in the 2nd of Rabi al-Awwal. It was said in the 12th of Rabi al-Awwal. Ibn Ishaq, he said that. Ibn Abdul Barr rahimahullah, even some scholars said in Ramadan. Mentioned that by Ibn Abdul Barr, mentioned that as well. Some people said he was born in Safar, in many different months. We don't have a single evidence. No, don't have a single, I'm saying this again, and as a fact, we don't have a single evidence to show exactly when the Prophet ﷺ was born. So for you to pick, we know for sure 100% that an-Nabi ﷺ died on the 12th of Rabi al-Awwal. We know that for a fact. But he was born on the 12th of Rabi al-Awwal. This is something very debatable. And because of this, you will find that the concept of celebrating the birth of the Prophet ﷺ is something, the trace of it doesn't go to anywhere near to the... First of all, you will not find a single hadith of the Prophet ﷺ encouraging or recognizing his date of birth as a date that should be celebrated or recognized or any significant into it, except a hadith, we'll talk about it later. But Sahaba radiallahu anhum after him never recognized that day. For years, for hundreds of years, this was the case until the late 4th century, yani 500 Hijri, where there is a state in Egypt known as the state of al-Ubaydiyin. It's an extreme Shia state, Ismailis, who believe that God came into earth, walk in the shape of a man who was the ruler of Egypt at that time. Very similar to the Alawis, basically, that we know of today. And they started, Egypt is a Sunni Muslim world, a part of the world. Syria, Sham in general, Palestine, Jordan, all this area, North Africa. So for people to come with that belief from the far west in Morocco or in that part of the world, they came and they occupied Egypt and they start ruling with this kind of ideology, it's very hard to break through the mind of the Sunnis. That's why they took a very aggressive approach and at the same time a very nice approach to break through. The aggressive killing, abandoning anyone belong to any one of the four madhab. If you claim that you belong to any madhab, you will be put in jail. And it was very aggressive policies for decades. But one of the things that they did, as al-ulama rahimahullah said, they started this concept of mawlid. And this mawlid, they started with mainly very famous 6 mawlids. The first one was the mawlid of the Prophet ﷺ, and Ali, and Fatima, and al-Hassan, and al-Hussein, and the celebration of the birthday of the ruler of Egypt at that time, wa al-Hadir. And it became something commonly, as al-Maqrizi rahimahullah said in his book Al-Khitat, who died in the 800 Hijri, he said, أحدثوا عددا من الموالد والاحتفالات ومنها مولد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وعائش وعلي وفاطمة والحسن والحسين. فقال حتى انقرضت, and these celebrations ended by the hand of Salah ad-Din on the 6th century, 567, and basically he stopped this kind of celebration. But why it was started? It was started as a way to win the public. Who would not? Every Muslim loved the Prophet ﷺ. Every Muslim loved Fatima, al-Hussein, al-Hassan. Something that it's very good. And they will use this to promote their ideologies. That's why المؤرخين يذكرون عجائب. If you look at the book of history, you will see how they used to do that. حتى قال أحد المؤرخين قال فكان يمد في المولد سماط عليه 5,000 رأس مشوية. They will put basically like we have a community dinner here. They will do like that in the street. They will put tables and they will bring people to eat. And they will put in one just table, that's how big and how long it is, they will have 5,000 sheep. قال وعشرة آلاف دجاجة. They will distribute about 10,000 chickens. And ومئة ألف زبدية. They will send over the world, butter and bread for people to eat. وألف صحن حلوى. And 1,000 plates of desserts. So hundreds of thousands of people literally will benefit and eat and celebrate and have good time. Who would say no to that? That's right. Who would say no to discount price on Christmas? Who would? It's a way to promote what's behind it. It's not just people became so used to it, and it became a fun and also a place where Qur'an is recited, poetry is recited about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And after this bid'ah ended with the fall of this state, it was revival again by 2 groups. The Sufis, who revival the concept of Mawlid an-Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Shia, who revival the concept of celebrating Ashura and the Mawlid of al-Hassan and al-Hussein. And even was not a common thing to know before that in the Muslim world, until there is a king, a Kurdish king in Abir, al-Muzaffar Abu Sa'id, who basically celebrated this. And Ibn Kathir rahimahullah, he said he spent a lot of money and made it a very big celebration, and that was about in the end of the 630, so in the 7th century. So you talk about something lost for 600 years, Muslims really, a common average Muslim don't know. That's why you will never find in the books of fiqh or the books of hadith a mention of the concept of Mawlid an-Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's not exist, literally, for all these hundreds of years. And that's a good lesson for us to see how common this is today. as if it is a fact. And you know what? Waleed is just being an odd person talking about this. I'm against the whole world. Just for you to understand how some innovations in religion can completely change, and people can mindset completely change, and perspective can completely change about things. You know? So, so when we look at the trace and where this goes back either to the Christianity as a copy of what they do, or goes to the Ismailis and to the extreme Shia who started this practice, or go to the 7th century and 6th century and so forth. Remember what Hudayfa radiallahu anhu قال كل عبادة لم يتعبدها أصحاب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فلا تعبدوها. وقال مالك ما لم يكن يومئذ دينا فهو اليوم ليس بدين. Hudayfa radiallahu anhu said, anything that the Sahaba did not practice, don't practice. You can't bring things new to the religion. And if it was not a deen in the time of the Prophet ﷺ and his companion, it's not going to be part of the deen today. So keeping that in mind is so important to understand how things can be very popular, but again, have no base. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to always allow us to see the truth and to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala according to the way that He loves, and follow the Prophet ﷺ, and we love the Prophet ﷺ and follow sunnah the way he taught us as well. Used to fast Monday, and when he was asked about fasting Monday, one time he said sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that's a day where I was born. On Monday, I was born on Monday. So some people said, oh, we got it. That's the proof. The Prophet ﷺ used to fast celebrating his birthday. Everybody told me that. I said, do you fast Monday? Do you? Is this what Mawlid is about? To fast Monday? Or to fast the 12th of Rabi' al-Awwal? You know what? You have a point of the Prophet ﷺ happened to be that Monday on the 12th of Rabi' al-Awwal. So he said, I'm fasting today, which is Monday, because today has nothing to do with Monday, has to do with the date, the 12th of Rabi' al-Awwal. Otherwise, we have to celebrate every Monday, which is, I have no problem if every Monday in the week you remember that this is the day where the Prophet ﷺ born, and I'm so happy, and to remind me of the blessings of having ﷺ coming to the world. Nobody will have a problem with that. But what we have a problem with, the ritual and the celebration that it is known to most of you, that it takes place every year in the 12th of Rabi' al-Awwal. And also the hadith shows in another narration why he fasted Monday. It's not just because he was born there. He said, I fast Monday and Thursday, not only Monday, because these are the days where the deeds are represented before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's an important point. Yes, we are grateful and thankful for the Prophet's birth. Nobody can deny the fact. It is, I'm happy. Even though I know he was not born Rabi' al-Awwal, but this is one opinion. I'm happy and remember how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us as ummah with this Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This feeling, this happiness, al-farah bi mawlidihi wa hubbi sallallahu is part of our iman. That's not the point of reservation. We don't have a problem with that. That's why please don't give me to that side of the argument. Tell me, oh, why don't you love the Prophet ﷺ? Why are you not happy with his birth? I'm happy with his birthday, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But that's not the issue. The issue is not what you feel and how happy you are. The issue is what the act of worship that you do, and basically the ritual that you have attached to an invented day that you made up, or you insist on it without any solid proof. Also, one of the things that we people cite, don't you want people to learn about the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ? The issue is not learning the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, or praising the Prophet ﷺ, or knowing about his life. We can do that year long. You have the issue with that. You, the one who making it only in that day, or is restricted to be something that done in that day. If you just treat it like any other day, we have no problem. We should learn about the Prophet ﷺ year long. So the conversation is not about learning about him or loving him. That's beside the point. And also, in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, his birthday, they said, Ya Waleed, why are you saying this? Ya Waleed, the Prophet ﷺ, when he born, this is the nur, this is the huda that came. Yeah, I know that. You know, it is, we happy that Islam came. And I said, طيب, if that's what's really motivating you, I have a question. Which one is have more, make more sense to you to celebrate? His birthday or the day when he was sent as a messenger? So why don't you guys celebrate the day that he was received Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq? If it would be the case, we're celebrating that he became a messenger to us. To become a messenger is not the day of his birth. It's the day he was assigned to be a messenger. If that's the logic that you're using, and nobody does that. Because I bet you anything, they don't even know what that date is. And they don't do that. You know, Sahaba radiallahu anhum, when they tried to make the most important date that will carry on from their time all the way to our time, which is the lunar calendar, Tariq al-Hijri. They didn't choose the Prophet's date of birth. If that's really what it is, why the Sahaba radiallahu anhum did not ever a single time, or the successors, or the 4 Imams, or their students, all these years, nobody recognized how important that date is. Until you come to do that. I'm saying this because it is important to know that it doesn't stop here. As we say, the buck doesn't say that it doesn't stop here. It continues. There is so many things in our deen, in our life, have changed. And we should, when it comes to religion, be very careful, very sensitive about the religion. That's what kept Islam pure until today. And the moment you lower your guard and you say, yeah, it's okay, that's not a big deal. The moment you do that, the moment your religion will be lost. And I have a bad news and good news. The good news is, that the religion will always be saved. The one who will be lost is you, the one who adopt this methodology, and you will not be able to be part of that saved. People who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised that they will be saved from the time of the Prophet until a generation after generation, until the day of judgment. I know that the people who celebrate the Mawlid, they have different levels. People who commit shirk in these Mawlids, praying to the Prophet ﷺ. People who praise the Prophet ﷺ, giving him attributes that only belong to Allah, saying that he knows the unseen, blah, blah, blah. And I know also at the same time people do this with a very low level of bid'ah, like some just adhkar and awrad and sirah, which is not a major bid'ah or a major bid'ah. Some will have, many people don't know, especially young people. I've seen some of these mawalid, I've seen it with my eyes, where people claim that the Prophet ﷺ came, his soul came and possessed someone. And he was shaking and jumping, and I was saying, if the Prophet ﷺ's soul entered that person's body, why he's so crazy like that? He should be calm and nice. I've seen people in different ways celebrating this moment. Men and women dancing and musics and in the different ways. So it is not right to fool the public by saying or suggesting one form of celebration. It's many different forms. And I recognize that, and I don't generalize that judgment. And I think it will be much better for us to keep the religion safe. Final point. Many people say, Ya Sheikh Waleed, this is bid'ah hasana. This is a good bid'ah. You know what? Every Friday I've been reading what the Prophet ﷺ said in most of his khutab. He said, every bid'ah is misguided. For you to come to say, no, it's not every. That's just contradicting what the Prophet keeps saying to us every major gathering. Almost he would say, kullu bid'atin dalala. Ya Sheikh Waleed, you are a scholar and you know that some ulama said there is bid'ah hasan. Yeah, I know, like al-Salam, but you have to make sure you understand what they said. The ulama, when they talk about a good bid'ah, you know what they're referring to? They don't refer to the bid'ah in religion. They're referring to the bid'ah that it is part of the culture. And that's why al-Salam give an example of what? Building schools, making names for science, like there is aqidah science, nahu science, sarf science, tafsir science. The Prophet time, there is no such thing called tafsir, or hadith, or fiqh, or usul. All these are new things. So that's what he's talking about. He's not talking about you starting a ritual and you call this a good bid'ah. Those who can't accept that concept are not among the mainstream Sunni scholars. If you want to propagate any evil things, you just say it's a good bid'ah. I have not seen, and I spend a good quite of my life studying theology and history and theology. I've never seen come across anyone ever in my life saying, I have a bid'ah for you guys, and my bid'ah is evil bid'ah. I've never seen that yet. You really have to be dumb to say that. Everybody said, my bid'ah is good bid'ah. لذلك رضي الله عن ابن عباس وابن عمر نقل عنه قال كل بدعة ضلالة وإن رآها الناس حسنة. Ibn Umar said, every bid'ah is misguided even if people think it's a good thing. ذلك لما قال مالك للرجل قال يا مالك إنما هي أميال أزيدها ما في ذلك. I want to make ihram not from what the Prophet told us, extra miles. Like I will add more miles. So just what's a big deal? What's a big deal of doing this? It's good. Malik said قال إنما الفتنة يا بني أن ترى أنك على هدي خير من هدي رسول الله. The problem is you think that you can come up with something that the Sharia and the religion didn't come up with, thinking that it is good. Please do whatever you want in your worldly life, in your culture, in your personal life. Just keep the religion as it is. Whatever the Prophet gave us, we're not fulfilling it. So why we add to it? Why we change in it? Just keep the religion simple, safe, and sound. And you know what? Do whatever you want in your life, as long as it is halal. And with this, I hope that this is something that a methodology that we can adopt in our way of dealing with the deen of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.